In today's video, we have lots to discuss, including lots of NHL trade and UFA speculation, mainly focused today on the Toronto Maple Leafs and a little bit of the Ottawa Senators. We heard from the Maple Leafs players and coach today at the locker cleanout day. We'll discuss some of the tidbits of information we learned from that, plus a big update from Pierre LeBrun regarding the CBA talks and a potential loophole in the LTIR world may be getting closed in the new CBA. We'll discuss the latest on that, plus we have some updates on some of the top prospects for the 2025 NHL draft. The Bruins have extended their general manager, and round 3 of the playoffs kick off tonight. All that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have lots to discuss here in today's video. Let's start first with a quick preview for round 3. Of course, the Stanley Cup Eastern Conference Final goes tonight. Game 1, Florida versus Carolina. The game's already started here as I record this video. After the first period of play, the Panthers have a 2-1 lead. Certainly a pretty good game here so far. I suspect I thought maybe the Panthers might be a little bit more tired, where they've had longer series against the Toronto Maple Leafs, had less days off, less rest. But so far they look like they haven't really lost a step. I wonder if the series goes on, if that may catch up to them or not. We'll see. So far, but like I said, it's a pretty back and forth game. 2-1 so far. So it should be a good series. And then, of course, the Western Conference Final kicks off tomorrow night as the Edmonton Oilers visit the Dallas Stars. Now, as I mentioned as well, lots of news around the league to talk about. One, we got a big update out of Boston. The Boston Bruins today announced that general manager Don Sweeney has had his contract extended by 2 additional years. He was already under contract for the coming season for 25-26, but it was going to be the final year of the previous contract, but they've extended that out by 2 years. So now he won't be expiring until 2028. Of course, I think that's going to get mixed reactions from the fan base. Clearly, Sweeney, along with Cam Neely, been running that team for quite an extended period of time, and it's gone through obviously some really good success. Obviously, a little bit of a decline right now. I think some people were kind of hoping for maybe a little bit of change, but that doesn't appear to be coming. We'll have the same leadership in Boston by the looks of things for at least a few more years. The New York Islanders appear to be closing in on getting part of their new executive team in place. It sounds as though the odds are pretty favorable that Marc Bergevin, the former GM of the Montreal Canadiens, will be getting a role with the club. It's not quite clear exactly what it's going to be just yet, if it's going to be either team president or general manager, or maybe both. We've heard a variety of reports, and I think maybe it just depends on how ownership feels about some of these candidates. We don't know if it's going to be a one-person kind of management team having the joint title of president and general manager, or if they're going to end up hiring 2 people, make it a 2-person job. Matthew Darche of the Lightning, who's an assistant GM there, also is very much in the mix and has had multiple interviews as well. They could go with a Bergevin-Darche tandem with president and GM, or maybe it's just Bergevin, maybe Darche gets another role. I'm not sure, but they appear to be closing in at the very least on Bergevin. We'll have to wait and see if they plan on offering something to Darche as well. Some other updates as well regarding some of the top prospects in the 2025 NHL draft. We found out today that one of the top prospects, Porter Martone, has been added and activated to Team Canada at the World Championship tournament going on now in Stockholm as well as Denmark. Team Canada lost Islanders forward Bo Horvat, who was playing a big role, playing a lot with Nathan McKinnon, has been a good piece of their power play, but unfortunately got hurt in the game against the Finns and is going to miss the remainder of the tournament. So that opens up a roster spot. And Martone had already been with the team. Him and a few other players had traveled with the team and done some pre-tournament games before they filled out their roster with NHL players. So what a great opportunity for Martone to jump in and get to play with some of these great NHL players before he even has a chance to be drafted here. So a big opportunity there. And one of the other top prospects expected to go, I'd say top 10 for sure, maybe top 5 or 7, but Caleb Desnoyers, the Moncton Wildcats, last night was named playoff MVP for the Quebec Maritime Junior League playoffs, so a great honor there. One of the very few players that have done it in their draft year. Most of the guys that have won that trophy in the past, which include people like Sidney Crosby and Claude Giroux, have won it after being drafted. So for him to do that at that age has been quite a feat. So obviously NYI will now go with his Moncton Wildcats. Back to Rimouski, where they won the championship here at the end of the week, where they'll kick off the 2025 Memorial Cup. So you'll feature Rimouski, and who's the host team and runner-up in the Quebec League Championship Series. Of course, the league champion Moncton Wildcats, the Ontario champion London Knights, and the Western League champion Medicine Hat Tigers. So there's going to be lots of top prospects at that tournament as well, including Gavin McKenna with the Medicine Hat Tigers. So lots to watch for, and certainly I recommend you check that out starting on Friday. A big update as well regarding CBA talks regarding the NHL and the Players Union for the upcoming, which is hoped to be an extension to the CBA for several years. But we know that the league and the union have had goals of hoping to be announced something this summer, maybe even as early as the Stanley Cup final. Pierre LeBrun was reporting that one of the topics, and he confirmed this with Bill Daly during an interview for a recent article he posted, that CBA talks are going very well and that they are working on a solution for the long-term injured reserve / playoff lack of salary cap. We know right now teams, of course, will place players on the LTIR, and of course, not that any of it is not legit, but the problem is that they can then add a much deeper roster, and then in the playoffs, it doesn't matter if that player that was on LTIR comes back or not, because there's no cap. And obviously, it can seem unfair, but I mean, any team that does it is only following the rules. I don't think we can really get too mad at any of them for that, but at the same time, there needs to be a more even level, fair way of doing this. I know someone suggested to say, well, you know what, you can place a player on LTIR if they're legitimately hurt through the regular season, that's fine. If they're going to miss the rest of the season and not come back, then you can obviously replace that money with another player that you can acquire. The only thing is that maybe when it comes to playoff games, you have to add up all the salaries of all the people in the lineup, and it has to be compliant to the salary cap or something along those lines. There has to be a way just to say that your roster's not too overly stacked, because it just seems like every year there's at least one, if not multiple, players that miraculously play Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs after missing Game 82, which is often only a couple of days apart, and you know that there's definitely cases of it all the time where players could have come back a little bit sooner. It just didn't make any sense from a cap perspective. So we'll see what solution they come up with to either close that loophole or to make it a little different, I guess, which hopefully more fair. I also had a prospect signing today in Ottawa. The Ottawa Senators today confirmed that they've signed Lucas Elinas, 3-year ELC. He was a 4th-round pick in 2024. Had himself a pretty good season, a good year of development, playing in Kitchener in the OHL. Had a 20-goal season in the regular season, but then really took up his game in the playoffs, scoring 8 goals in 16 games. So obviously really got the attention of the team, and how he played through tough games and tough minutes and elevated his play. So good on him to earn his entry-level contract. Now, as I mentioned as well, I want to talk a bit about the Leafs and a little bit of the Senators regarding some offseason speculation. Now, the Leafs had their locker cleanout today, so many of the players talked to the media. The coach, Craig Berube, spoke to the media as well. We do not know as of right now when we're going to hear from management. So it could be Brad Treliving, it could be Brendan Shanahan, it could be Keith Pelley from MLSE. We don't know who is going to speak and when here just yet. Last year there was a 3-man panel there, of course, with MLSE being represented, the president and the GM. It might be different this year. We're expecting the possibility that Brendan Shanahan may not be back. And Luke Fox of Sportsnet was reporting from locker cleanout day to saying that he's getting the impression that it could be more than Shanahan that's not back. Now, he couldn't go as far to say that he thought there was a chance Brad Treliving may not be back, but he couldn't say that for sure he wouldn't be either. He's only been on the job for 2 years, so it's probably not fair to let him go as of right now, but it just seems like he said the sense coming down the pipe here is that it could be a bigger change than just Shanahan. And with Shanahan, is it a case of, would they maybe eliminate his position? Would they replace him? We don't even know what they would do in that sense. But there could be more. So it may not be Treliving. It could be other members of the management staff. Could be AGMs or other aspects of the front office that maybe are let go or changed. Hard to say. But according to Luke Fox, changes on the horizon, and they could be bigger than just the team president. Listening to some of the players talk, Anthony Stolarz has confirmed he did indeed have a concussion. No big surprise there. He says that after taking the shot off the mask, he did feel fine until the contact with Bennett. He didn't think that Bennett had anything malicious to do with that. It's just a bad spot. So I think he was okay saying that. I don't know. Based on what we've seen, I'm still not 100% convinced that, he wasn't to some degree injured from the shot, but either way, it doesn't matter. He was concussed, and that's why he missed time. And like I said, the very final game, he was able to come back and start backing up. If the series, was still going, or if they would have made next round, there's a possibility he could have gotten back into game action here sometime in the very near future. Austin Matthews talked a bit about his injury, but again, wouldn't reveal anything about what it is. He was asked about when it happened. He said it was in training camp. He said it lingered basically all year. He had good stretches and not so good stretches. And then, obviously took time off for a while, went to Germany, thought he could get through the rest of the season. He did, but, they asked him, did it have an impact on your shot? Or, and he said, yeah. He said he actually said that it had a lot of impact, not just his shot, that several aspects of his game were impacted. So I'm like, okay, my next question would be, why did you go to Four Nations then? If you were that hurt and this was that much of a problem, why were you going to Four Nations, and why did the team not consider shutting him down so that he was healthy for playoffs? Clearly, they knew from a regular season standpoint they were in good hands, like in good spot to be able to withstand his absence. So to me, I don't quite understand why it was handled the way it was. But that's what we learned from Matthews' comments. Of course, we heard from Marner, we heard from Nylander, other Morgan Rielly spoke as well. Basically, they're all saying the same things they always say. They can learn, it can be better. They want everybody to come back. They believe in the group, all the same things. So really nothing too much in that sense was learned. So with all that said, the latest speculation around the Leafs would be that they're going to be looking for a few upgrades. We don't know what Marner's doing, but a lot of people are going on the assumption that he's probably signing elsewhere. So if that's the case, obviously, they're looking for at least probably one or two top 6 wingers. You're probably looking for a number 2 center. You don't know what John Tavares is going to boil down to, contract. But I know when he spoke, he came out and said, "Yeah, I spoke to Trey Living and Berube, and I'm pretty confident I'm going to be back next year." So I'm like, really, like you're already able to say that? That seems a little weird to me. But you're looking for, ideally, you still would like Tavares to play a little bit lower in the lineup. If you can find another centerman that can play ahead of him, a winger or two, and then ideally you need a number 1 defenseman. So clearly, those are some of the main, I think, players that you're going to be targeting. One name, though, that has come up by a lot of different outlets looking at potential trades is defenseman Morgan Rielly. Now, Rielly didn't have a great season, certainly has slowed down a bit. The contract is, I guess, one of those contracts that they say is probably looking to not age well. It's already in a situation where his production's down compared to when he signed. He's making $7.5 million until 2030. He has a no move clause, so obviously to trade him, you would have to have his agreeance. I don't know where he could go. Personally, I wondered if, he's from BC, would there be any interest in a deal with the Canucks? We know they're concerned about losing Quinn Hughes, obviously, which isn't going to happen right away. But, clearly it's a situation where they may want to add some more puck-moving defensemen to their blue line in case that happens. Their blue line got better throughout the year, but I think the Canucks might be a team that would make sense. Would he want to go there? I don't know. Obviously he doesn't have to play ball. The other options, they look at a buyout, and if you look at how a buyout would work with Rielly, it would save over $5.8 million next year, and it would save $3.8 million for the remaining years of the contract. Of course, because of that, there's be a bunch of years tacked on afterwards because it's twice the period of time that's left, and those extra years would cost you $2.13 million per year. But of course, at that point, the cap's going to be up significantly higher, and do you care too much at that point if you can move off this contract now and and get enough space to help you win in the next few years? The answer is probably not. So I really think, based on what we're seeing here, that Rielly could be a real legit trade target. But like I said, if he's not willing to waive, or he's not willing to give them enough teams to work with, a buyout could be a real legit option there. Clearly, we've heard some people, and a lot of people are in agreement here, that listening to Brad Marchand speak, that the Leafs probably should see if they're able to sign him, because he's going to be a free agent. He's been a Leaf killer his entire career. Why not bring him in? And that can't happen anymore. Plus, he's still playing at a high level, and he could play a good role for you on your top two lines, add some of that snarl that you're kind of missing, and maybe that's a good fit. Now, I know another name as well that was brought up by Jeff Marek and Greg Wyshynski, because they were talking about how these, the key spots that the Leafs are going to be looking to fill this offseason, and wondered, there's a bunch of players on the Panthers that are pending UFAs that would all kind of, satisfy those needs, whether it be Marchand, Bennett, which I don't think Bennett would go, to be honest. I think everything we've heard about Bennett suggests that he's probably not wanting to play in the Canadian market, or at least something a little bit quieter, but we'll see about that. But the other big one, though, is Aaron Ekblad. Aaron Ekblad could be a top defenseman for the Maple Leafs, especially if they moved on from Rielly. They would have more flexibility to bring in another defenseman making that kind of money. To me, it kind of levels out their D-core. Now, you still have your shutdown D of McCabe, Tanev. You could put Ekblad with Oliver Ekman-Larsson as another pair, and then you'd have still, say, Carlo, who could be slot further down in the lineup. It's because, to me, I don't think Carlo had a great playoff run. If you slot him down maybe with Benoit as your third pair. If you have your right side as Ekblad, Tanev, Carlo, that's a pretty good right side. Your left side, of course, like I said, you have McCabe, OEL, and Benoit. To me, that's not so bad. And now, I'm not sure what Ekblad is going to cost, but he would probably cost something similar to what Rielly's making. So if you can move Rielly out, you can give him basically Rielly's money. And to me, you might have a better balanced decor with a different dynamic. So we'll see what they decide to do. But it wouldn't be shocking at all to see the Leafs kind of target some more Panthers. We saw them bring in a few from last year with Lorentz and Ekman-Larsson and Stolarz. Will they go after 2 or 3 more this offseason? It wouldn't be shocking in the least. Now, Ekblad's also been linked. I found an article today suggesting he would be a prime target for the Ottawa Senators. Now, the Sens learned that Nick Jensen, of course, is having surgery and has a significant injury. We don't necessarily know anything that he would be missing training camp or the start of next season, though. A lot of these Sens writers are suggesting that the Senators really target another top 4 right defenseman. The only thing is, though, is to make that happen, I think they'd have to trade one of their existing Ds. So either Jensen, who's not healthy at the moment, or a guy like Zub or somebody else would have to likely go, which may not make sense for them. But if they could get Ekblad for the right price in free agency, I guess it makes sense for them to explore it if they think they can be better. So real possibility that Ekblad's going to have options. Doesn't mean he's going to take them, of course, but he'll have options from both of the his teams from in his home province. So we'll see what happens with him and where he ends up. But he'll probably be leaving Florida. I think when they acquired Seth Jones, to me, that was a little bit of Ekblad insurance, and it makes sense that he's probably on his way out the door. So let me see where he ends up. Let me know your thoughts on all of today's news and rumors in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.